The alien ship moved first. On the bridge, the sensor display updated in twitching increments, range values stuttering, bearing lines warping, like the Kestrel run was trying to read a shadow with a ruler. Unknown vessel changing orientation, the AI reported. Energy signature increasing. Elias didn't like the sound of that. Increasing how? Weapons? Indeterminate. Pattern does not match known human armaments. Comms leaned over her console, jaw tight. They're broadcasting again. The pulses are faster. Engineering's voice crackled in. Captain, coil temperatures are dropping. Venting is working, but we're still pinned. Whatever they're using is layered, like a net. Elias stared at the external contact, then down at Ralph, now perched on the arm of the captain's chair like a judge at trial. AI, Elias said. What's the probability they attempt another board? High. Their prior boarding attempts ceased rapidly after contact with onboard organism. Current behavior suggests reassessment rather than retreat. Meaning they're not leaving, Elias muttered. They're adapting. Ralph's ears angled forward. The bridge lights flickered. A low vibration began in the deck plates, subtle but steady, like a distant drum. Captain, comms said, voice thin. I've got an incoming, not from them. It's faint, human-coded. Elias straightened. From where? Direction is messy. It's bouncing. But, Captain, it's a beacon relay. Someone caught our burst. The AI confirmed. Received partial response. Signal acknowledged. Identify vessel and status. Elias exhaled hard. Tell them. Kestrel run. Disabled by unknown hostile. We are boarded, capable, compromised. Request immediate assistance. Repeat coordinates and... He hesitated, then added, Tell them there is an active deterrent aboard. Com's lips twitched. Copy. Outside, the alien vessel's shadow geometry shifted again, sliding closer until it sat like a dark coin against the stars. Then the Kestrel shuddered as if gripped. New suppression node detected, the AI said. Field strength increasing. They are attempting deeper system penetration. Engineering swore over the channel. They're digging into our power bus. Captain, if they choke the distribution any harder, we'll lose internal doors. You'll have corridors opening and closing at random. Then we stop them, Elias said, already standing. Captain, comms began, but stopped when Ralph hopped down from the chair. The cat moved to the corridor hatch and sat facing it, perfectly still. Elias stared at him. You're telling me they're inside again? The AI answered for him. Internal anomaly detected. Location, life support junction A9. Elias's blood ran cold. That junction fed oxygen and scrubbers to half the ship. They learned, he said quietly. They're not going for cargo. They're going for the throat. He keyed the intercom. All hands, lock your stations. If your door opens unexpectedly, do not step out. Repeat, do not step out. AI, route me to a 9 with the fewest active bulkheads. Routing, warning, interference may alter path. Elias grabbed a portable lantern and a hand welder from the emergency kit. Primitive but powered by an internal cell the field hadn't fully smothered. He clipped a tether line to his harness, then looked down at Ralph. You stay on the bridge, he said. Ralph stared back, unblinking. Elias sighed. Fine, but you stay with me. Ralph stood and walked past him like that had been the plan all along. They moved fast through red-lit corridors. The ship's hum had changed. Thinner, strained, like a lung working too hard. At the junction hatch, the air felt colder. Frost feathered the metal edges as if heat was being stolen. Elias lifted the lantern. The hatch display was dead. He pressed his ear to the door. A soft clicking came from the other side, not loud, close. Ralph's fur rose along his spine. Elias tightened his grip on the welder. AI, he whispered. Seal this junction from your side. Unable. Local control overridden. Elias swallowed. Then the hatch handle turned, slowly, by itself, and the door began to open inward as though inviting him to look. The gap widened by a finger, then two. Cold air slid out, carrying a smell like dry stone and heated copper. Elias planted his boot against the deck, setting his stance. The hand welder felt small and stupid in his grip. He held it anyway because humans did that. Held on to the idea of control. Ralph stepped forward, positioning himself directly in front of the opening. "Ralph," Elias hissed. "Back." The cat did not move. The door opened fully. Inside, Junction A9 was a narrow maintenance space crammed with conduit lines and scrubber intakes. The emergency strips inside glowed faintly, but the air shimmered with the same wrongness Elias had seen at Cargo Bay 3. Reality slightly unzipped, edges fraying. One of the aliens crouched inside, its long fingers buried in an open access panel as if it were feeding. It lifted its head, its eyes locked on Ralph first, then flicked to Elias. It clicked once, low, controlled, then slowly raised its hands away from the panel, a show of restraint, not surrender. Behind it, in the deeper shadows, two more shapes shifted. Watching, learning. Elias felt the ship's life support rumble falter under his feet. "You get out," Elias said, voice steady only because fear had nowhere else to go. "Now!" The alien didn't understand the words, but it understood the intent. It tilted its head, scent skin rippling in fast patterns. Then it did something Elias hadn't expected. It clicked again, sharper, and pointed, not at Elias, not at Ralph, but at the conduit lines, then toward the ceiling, then toward the ship's hull. A sequence, a message. Ralph's ears turned forward, listening. The alien leaned its head lower, eyes on the cat, and made a sound like a purr made of knives. Elias realized with a sick twist that it was communicating, not with him, but with Ralph. Like predator to predator. Ralph answered by sitting down, just sat, calm, present. The embodiment of, "I own this space." The alien's shoulders tightened, its claws flexed against the deck. Then, slowly, it extended one hand toward Ralph. Elias raised the welder. "Don't." The alien ignored him. Its hand moved closer, careful, testing, like someone reaching toward a snake. Ralph didn't retreat. He lifted one paw. For a heartbeat, Elias thought Ralph was going to swat. Instead, Ralph placed his paw lightly on the alien's fingers. A touch, a claim. The alien froze like its nervous system had been cut. Its eyes widened. Its skin pattern flared. Panic, then control, then something like awe. From the shadows behind, one of the other aliens made a rapid, chattering click. The first alien withdrew its hand slowly, then bowed its head, just a fraction. Elias stared. "What the hell are you doing?" Ralph stood and took one step forward. The alien scrambled backward, pressing itself against the junction wall, suddenly very aware of how small this space was. Ralph did not attack. He simply looked at the open panel. Then he looked back at Elias. Elias understood, absurdly. "Close it." He lunged forward, shoving the access plate into place with his free hand. The alien hiss-clicked, protesting, but Ralph's gaze snapped to it and the protest died in its throat. Elias slapped the panel shut, then jammed the manual latch into place. He flicked the welder on and ran a hard, ugly seam across the access edge, enough to buy time, even if it wasn't pretty. The life support rumble steadied. The AI's voice came through Elias's earpiece. "Life support stabilizing, Captain. Hostile interference decreasing." Good. But the aliens were still inside the junction space. Elias backed out, dragging Ralph with a hand gesture and a prayer. The lead alien followed to the threshold, head tilted, eyes bright. It clicked again. Slower now. Different cadence, less hunger, more calculation. Then it tapped two claw tips against the metal frame, twice, like punctuation. And it retreated into the shimmer. The distortion folded inward, sealing the junction space from within, leaving the door closed and normal again. Elias stood in the corridor, breath shaking. Ralph walked past him and began grooming his chest as if he'd just supervised a minor repair. Elias stared down at him. "You just negotiated." Ralph blinked once. The AI spoke, quieter. "Captain, updated assessment. The hostiles may be responding to behavioral dominance cues and territorial signaling." Elias let out a humorless laugh. "So we're running a cargo ship, and our best defense is cat politics." Ralph's tail flicked, and somewhere in the hull, the suppression field tightened again, like a predator rethinking its approach. Back on the bridge, the stars looked unchanged, but the ship felt different, more watched than broken. The external contact held position, close enough that its distortion bled into the edge of the canopy view like ink in water. The suppression field still clamped the Kestrel Run's drives, but the AI reported minor fluctuations, brief dips, testing pulses, as if the alien vessel were adjusting its grip. Elias sat, rubbing a hand over his face. "Report." Comms didn't look up from her console. Human relay responded again. "They want authentication codes and a clearer fix on our location. They're routing to..." "Captain, it's a patrol cutter, just within 2 jumps." Relief hit Elias like weakness. "Send the codes. Give them everything." Engineering chimed in. "Captain, vents are stable. Power grid's holding. If we could shake this field for even 30 seconds, we might spin up all thrusters and change vector. Make boarding harder." Elias glanced at the tactical overlay. "We need a window." The AI answered with unwelcome certainty. "Window probability low. The external vessel is modulating suppression based on our internal responses. They are learning our thresholds." "Predators," Elias muttered. "Test, adapt, bite where it hurts." Ralph sat on the console again, watching the canopy as if he could see through metal and vacuum into motives. Elias's eyes narrowed. An idea formed, ugly, risky, but better than waiting. "AI," he said. "What happened to the suppression level when Ralph engaged them?" During direct confrontation events, the suppression field showed momentary instability. Hypothesis: boarding operations and field control draw from a shared energy reservoir. Elias leaned forward. "Meaning if we force them to board, if we make them commit, their field weakens." "Possible, not guaranteed." Engineering's voice sharpened. "Captain, are you thinking what I'm thinking?" "Yes," Elias said. "We bait them." Comms finally looked up, alarmed. "With what?" Elias looked at Ralph. "With the one thing they can't ignore anymore." Ralph yawned, slow and profound. Elias pointed at the internal map. "We control where they board by giving them a path. We vent certain corridors, lock others, funnel them toward a space we can isolate." Engineering was already tracking. "Cargo Bay 1. It's empty, reinforced, and has independent power. We can flood it with foam, flash strobe, whatever we can run off cell packs." "And," Elias added, "we put Ralph in there." Comm's face went pale. "Captain, no." Elias held up a hand. "Not alone. I go in too. The crew stays sealed. We create the impression that the apex is contained. Predators hate unknowns. They'll want to verify." Engineering exhaled. "And when they open the seam, we hit them with every deterrent we have." Elias tapped the console. "And at the moment they divert power to board, we spin up thrusters and break alignment. Even a small vector change could let the patrol cutter find us faster, or let us drift out of their optimal range." The AI interjected. "Risk level, extreme." Elias smiled without humor. "Yeah, but sitting here is also extreme." He looked at Ralph. "What do you think, crewman?" Ralph stared back, then hopped down and walked toward the corridor hatch like he'd already accepted the mission. Elias stood. "All right. Prep Cargo Bay 1. Engineering, I want manual overrides ready. Comms, keep that patrol cutter on a leash. If they jump in and see us in a fight, they might fire first and ask later. Comms swallowed. Understood. As they moved, the ship shuddered again, deeper, slower, like the alien vessel had flexed its grip in irritation. The AI spoke softly, almost like caution. Captain, external vessel energy spike detected. They may be preparing another boarding attempt without provocation. Elias didn't slow. Then we're out of time. Ralph trotted beside him, white and ginger patches bright under emergency lighting. Tail low, eyes forward. A tiny predator leading humans into a trap built for bigger predators. And somewhere beyond the hull, the hunters listened to the ship's rhythms and decided, finally, how to deal with the thing that had shamed them. They shifted position. They pulsed their field. And on the Kestrel run, every light dimmed at once, like the universe taking a breath before the bite. To be continued.